Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, welcome to another market open. Today, barrels of oil are skyrocketing. This is after Biden's State of Union address that, of course, I streamed last night. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about what's going on with invasion, with the Fed, and, of course, what's going on with Bitcoin. So, smash the like, guys. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified. Follow me on social media. And check out all the latest news, article, and guides at CryptosRUs.com. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully you guys are hanging in there. Crypto's hanging in there. And U.S. markets are looking better today. Everything. Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, all in the green right now. Right, let's see what happens. We got, 12 minutes to go before market opens. So far, so good. And on crypto's front, if you look at Bitcoin, just slightly down, only about 600 points down from yesterday. But you can see pretty flat right now. Again, Bitcoin is consolidating. Normally, it needs to after such a big jump like this, right? So overall, I think Bitcoin is also holding very strong. And same thing crypto. Today, you still have some good movers. But overall, if you look at the last week, a terrific recovery for most big caps out there. And, of course, Bitcoin. So things are looking pretty good so far. So far in terms of markets. But let's talk about everything else that's going on. Well, as for the Russian invasion, Kharkiv is, still getting pummeled right now. There are a lot of shelling. There's a lot of bombing. There was I believe a TV station or some kind of TV station that was bombed, and a few were killed with that bombing. So that is still ongoing right now. It does seem like Kharkiv, sorry, I'm bad with names. But Kharkiv is the next target, while Kiev is still a target. But it does seem like Ukrainians are holding this capital city pretty well. But there's a lot more casualties now, and it does seem like the convoy of tanks that was rolling in right now, they're having an effect. And unfortunately, it does seem like the fighting continues and is getting worse. Although the second round of ceasefire talks is supposed to happen today. First round was a few days ago. Second round is today. Maybe more will be discussed during this discussion, right? Of course, maybe there will be more discussion today because of what President Biden said yesterday in the State of Union address, which was quite long. Quite long. I was streaming this with you guys, and there's two things that I took out of it. Number one is U.S. airspace is prohibiting Russian flights. And number two is NATO nations will go produce more oil to try to combat the rising oil price. But obviously, that didn't have any effect because this morning, barrel of oil shot up to 111. This is a big jump from yesterday. So obviously, whatever Biden said about NATO nations increasing 60 million barrels of oil, that did nothing. That lasts basically like a week, if not even that long. So those are two things I took out of it. Obviously, Biden was saying that we stand with Ukraine, the citizens of Ukraine. We will send them support, but not troops. Right, the rest of NATO will, and the EU and US will continue to pummel Russia with sanctions and more sanctions to come, right? So that's the bottom line. But unfortunately, oil is still going up, and obviously with oil going up, that's going to cause a mess too, as the world runs on oil still. So we'll have to see how high this goes, and stay tuned at gas pumps because gas is already $5 in a lot of states. Is it going to head to $7 or $8, a level I don't think we've ever seen in this country? So we'll see. We'll see. So this is definitely the big talk of the town, I guess, for today, is that oil is skyrocketing. And this is something that Biden has said in many times in the past, that he's he's going to try to curb this somehow, right? I don't know how you go curb it other than to just produce a lot more oil. I don't know. So this is something that's going on. From an ally front, Putin lost one of his important ally, Hungary. It turns out that he is now turning on Russia and Putin. So kind of a light connection. I mean, this article is talking about how, they were buying Russian-made COVID vaccines, even though European regulators didn't approve it. But if true, if Putin is starting to lose his allies, right, it's just going to make things more difficult for him. It does seem like the consensus right now is that Putin did not expect this kind of unity among the countries with this invasion. Of all the things that I took out of what has happened the last few weeks, is that yes, he did not expect all the countries in Europe to gang together and place sanctions. He expected a lot to just kind of let things be. And then, of course, he knew that U.S. was going to get involved. But I think the thing is, he did not expect everyone else to come in and join in with their sanctions. And that's happening right now. There's like really no country that's coming on saying, yes, we support Putin and his invasion. I mean, not even China is doing it. Not even President Xi is doing that, right? No one is doing that. India and Pakistan both came out and said that they're not, they rather there's no more hostilities. Hungary is doing that as well now. Germany and Italy and France, who are big natural gas buyers, they're coming out and saying, no, we're not going to stand for this either. And even sending troops and weapons, weapons to Ukraine. So it does seem like the world is ganging up together against Putin right now. So that is something that probably is unexpected. And of course, all the sanctions and everything is having effect. Take a look at this. This is the reason why the Russian stock market is closed. It has been closed for 3 days now. You can't even go to the website, right? Like their major exchange website is down. So one of their banks that's traded on the London exchange collapsed 95%, and they are now exiting Europe. So this is what's happening. If you are a Russian company in Europe or in Asia, not in Asia, but in the United States, first of all your assets are frozen. Second of all, you can't do any business with any other bank, right? And if you can't get access to liquidity, you can't do anything with your assets, and it's frozen. Well, this is what happens. So now the Serb bank that's state-owned has lost 99.9% of its value since the start of this year, and now they are exiting London, right? And this would be happening on the Russian stock exchange right now if it was open. This is the reason why the central bank decided to close it, because everyone's going to be selling everything. There will be nothing left, right? And this is why I've been saying it's really unfortunate for Russian citizens, and you could argue, of course, companies, because where do they go do? Their investments are decimated. The ruble is decimated, right? You can't get your money out. No banks will allow you to transfer money to them, right? You are blocked off basically from everywhere. That is why so many are turning to Bitcoin and crypto, right? I mean, like, what are you supposed to do? You withdraw from the ATMs, which there's like a limitation imposed now. And even if you're holding all those rubles on your hand, they're just disappearing right in front of you, right? So, unfortunately, that's the case with a lot of a lot of citizens in Russia right now. So we're still at, we're still in the green here. So that's looking pretty good. Yeah, and I mentioned about Germany, right? Germany sending troops, no troops, sending weapons. And they said that they were going to, not certify this Nord Stream 2 pipeline. And now Russia is like, oh, you better certify it, or there's going to be trouble, because let's not forget there's still Nord Stream 1 that's still operational. So Russia is basically implying that you better turn on that Nord Stream 2, or we may just turn off Nord Stream 1, and then what are you going to do about it? Right? So, I mean, they are getting that warning right now. But obviously Germany, who was once thought going to be neutral in this war, has decided not to be. They actually decided to up their own military spending, send military supplies to Ukraine, and they are in support of cutting off SWIFT and placing all the sanctions on Russia too. So, interesting turn of events. Right? All right. What else is there? Well, this is the latest with what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. I mean, literally every single day, every single hour, there's some kind of new update. But right now, the invasion is still happening. There's a lot of destruction in Kharkiv right now and Kiev. But the Ukrainians are fierce, and they're fighting back, and they're holding right now. So it's pretty good. And while this is happening, the U.S. and EU and everyone else is putting heavy sanctions that's starting to add up. Maybe Putin still doesn't care, but its citizens, Russian citizens, definitely do. This is total financial destruction of all assets within Russia right now. Companies are going bankrupt. Banks are going bankrupt. Citizens, their finances, their assets are going bankrupt. So it's not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. All right. So now moving more to U.S. news. What about Fed Chair Powell? What does he think about all this? What about interest rates? Right. Well, he does say, hikes are coming. It's not like this war just go stop it, right? He's actually appearing in front of Congress today. So today's Wednesday. He's appearing in front of Congress. But basically, I don't think he's going to say anything. He can't really say anything yet because the FOMC meeting didn't happen. That's going to be in a couple weeks. But he does note that, we are really above the Fed's 2% target. Yeah, I mean, we're way past that, right? We're like 7.5 or 8%. And the labor market is extremely tight. And he's going to have to do what he has to do, right? He has to curb inflation. That's what he has to do. So despite the fact there are uncertainties, he still has to raise hikes. And I think most of that is already priced in. Most traders are thinking, or most analysts, I should say, is thinking that it's going to be 25 basis points. Yesterday I showed the percentages. It was 99% at 25 basis points. So everyone is predicting that he's going to be more dovish now at this point. And most likely he will be. It's very hard to see him being hawkish when we're still in this war, and then and we're still sending a lot of weapons and money to Ukraine. And not only that, let's not forget oil is skyrocketing right now, right? So if oil is still, where is it? If oil is still skyrocketing and this continues on, I don't know, to 120, 150, 200. I don't even know what's going to happen. That's going to be very, very disastrous. So he has to take into account. All right, I forgot market open here. Market bell. There we go. All right, so we're still in green. Yep, we're in green. Up a little more. Yeah, Bitcoin is coming up a little more, so that's good. We were holding above 44 for so long. I think we're going to get right back up there, but, if we can continue on, it's going to be really good. I mean, we're stuck over here, right? If you look at some of the long-term indicators, I mean, not really long-term, but short-term indicators, I should say. If you look at the 4-hour, stochastic on our side topped out. So most likely Bitcoin needs to come back down a little bit for these indicators to reset before we head higher. That's my guess. So it actually seemed like a pretty good spot to take a breather. However, if Russians and Ukrainians are buying Bitcoin by the billions, then all this just goes away and Bitcoin will continue forward, which I think is happening right now. And we'll probably see more goodness come pretty soon. But right now, market is opened, has opened. Still holding in the green, so that's good. But yeah, going back to this, I only comfort about. But something that relates to this is this. So ADP just reported that 475,000 jobs were added in February, which is enormous. And then they had to revise January, which they originally said had a loss of 301,000 jobs. And then they revised that up to 509,000. So basically, in January, if you add in the 500,000 added, plus basically this 500,000 added in February, that's 1 million jobs added within just the first 2 months of this year. So that's a lot of jobs. That's a lot of jobs, which is really good. People are getting back to the workforce. And more are working now, but labor is what Chair Powell is looking at, right? The labor force, whether it's strong or weak, and right now it's looking like it's strong. So again, will that make Powell be more aggressive with his rate hikes? Maybe, but this is something that's very positive today. So overall, more jobs, the better it is. All right, only a few other things I want to talk about. Elon's still not happy because during the State of Union yesterday, Biden likes to talk a lot about Ford and GM and how they are, going green and going EV. Biden somehow does not like to mention Tesla for whatever reason. Maybe because Tesla's not union or something. I don't know. But Elon keeps calling this out, how he's purposely not mentioning Tesla. I don't know if it's purposely or it's just it doesn't come in. Like he's not thinking about it, right? Because Tesla's such a new company, or he's thinking that Tesla's not an American company, but it is. I don't know, but it is true. It does seem like Biden just never mentions Tesla. He was forced to mention it one time during his press conference, I think because of all the reporters asking about it. But yeah, so this still came up. I honestly don't know if it's purposely or intentionally or not. I don't know. But that also came out. And speaking of Ford is making a big push into EV, and they decided to split their legacy, which is ICE, combustible engine cars, and EVs, as it aims to boost electric business. I don't know what that's going to do. I guess what this will do is the EV portion, as it's growing, will make it seem like it's a really good unit, right? And then it'll probably cause investors to invest in a new EV unit. But then the legacy one, which will still look really bad, will probably be sold off. I guess that's the thinking behind this. Although let's not forget, Ford is carried by F-150s, which is still in the legacy part, right? F-150 Lightnings have not come out yet, and even so, not everyone's just going to move to an EV F-150. So F-150 is the sole reason why Ford is still around. Everything else that they do is not making much money, although they are making a big push with the Mach-E, with the Lightning, and whatever else that they're working on. I'm not even sure what else they're working on, but I am really a big fan of the Bronco, though. The Bronco is awesome. If you guys haven't seen one yet, the full-size one, not the Bronco Sport, which is garbage. The Bronco Sport is garbage, but it's better than the Escape. Was it Escape? Yeah, their other SUV, which is even bigger garbage. But Bronco is awesome. I mean, Ford really screwed up a lot of their legacy stuff. You know, the Escape is screwed up. The Explorer is screwed up. So now they're relying on Bronco, and then F-150, and now the Mach-E, which is doing pretty well. But again, charging stations, not as plentiful as the Tesla supercharger stations. All right. So there's that. You know, turning to Bitcoin. Well, we have Citadel. And the founder, Ken Griffin, now backtracked his anti-crypto stance and wants to offer digital assets to his clients this year. Now, I don't know if this is a good thing because Citadel is the company, the fund behind Malvern Capital, who was behind shorting GameStop, right? So Citadel took a massive loss because they had to save Malvern Capital. So I mean, yeah, there's that whole mess. I don't want to get into that, but it was a big mess. It wasn't a good look. But now they want to get into crypto, as the founder says he's wrong about Bitcoin. He compared it to the tulip mania from like 300 years ago. I don't even know how people can make the same comparison. Right? We're not living like 300 years ago, okay? So it's very, very different. But anyways, so this could be seen as a positive thing or negative thing, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, miners, of course, are still mining and brought in $1 billion in revenue in February alone. That's a massive amount. And this will only increase as Bitcoin heads higher. So that's pretty good. I freaked out for a second because I was looking at the ticker on the top, and then Bitcoin said 50,000 or 500,000. I'm like, wow, Bitcoin just pumped to 50,000. So that's my mistake. All right, what else? Bill Miller. He went on CNBC this morning saying that he loves Bitcoin and he believes in it so much. And I want to remind you guys that his wealth, more than 50% of that is in Bitcoin right now. So there are a lot of people that really, really, really believe in Bitcoin. Not just the average Joes, not just people that, wants to go to the moon, right? But billionaires out there that are trying to invest in the next generation of dApps, next generation companies, and invest in a store of value that will actually appreciate and can be treated as an investment. Well, yes, there are a lot of billionaires and companies that are recognizing that. They're slow in recognizing that, but they're recognizing it and they're coming in full force. So that's very, very positive for the industry overall, right? And now, Bitcoin pumped right back up above 44,000, heading back up pretty quickly. And you know what? Markets are looking pretty good, despite what's going on in Europe right now. Despite oil shooting up to the moon, oil is up, 110, up another 6% today. And you can see this headline, oil jumps the highest since 2011 as OPEC holds output steadily. See, if OPEC just increases their, it takes time, right? You can't just say, okay, I'm going to increase my production overnight. It takes a while before you could increase production. But if OPEC came out and said we're going to double or triple our production, that's going to definitely have an effect. Oh, by the way, speaking of Ford here, let's look at this headline. Sell BTC and buy barrels. Yeah. I remember at one point in time, I think that was a few years ago, where the futures to buy barrels of oil was in a negative and you were paid to take oil because there was overproduction of it. And we were joking, like you could have bought a ton of oil and filled your, swimming pool with it, and then you could have sold it at a profit, right? But no one actually takes delivery of barrels of oil, but you could have been paid to do so. I think that was like 2 years ago. I remember it was a really weird situation. But anyways, speaking of Ford, how they're splitting their divisions, They plan on producing 2 million EVs annually, generating 10% operating by 2026. 2 million EVs pretty aggressive, right? But that's in 4 years' time, so I don't know. Maybe the F-150 Lightning will be a success. I have seen it. I have reviewed it. I haven't driven it yet, but it looks like it could be a great success. And Chevy's following with the EV Silverado, which is not going to come out until 2024, I believe. And GM has the Hummer too, the EV Hummer, which is very, very limited right now. So, here's the thing. I get it. I get why everyone's moving to EV, and I get it's green, and there's many advantages being faster and less, polluting of the world, right? But for me, man, I want my ICE cars. I want my V8s. I want my V10s. All right? And you just can't replace that feeling. If you're a car guy, you will never come to love a EV car. You'll love the fact that it's a good daily driver, and one day it could drive you to work and wherever by itself. But if you are a weekend guy, you want to take your car out, right? You want to go to the track, you want to just go drive by, the ocean or something, drive in the mountains or whatever. You're not going to enjoy any EV car out there. They're all emotionless. It's it's driving like a robot. So I don't know. Just throwing that out there. One day, in 20 years or 30 years, when every single car is an EV car out there, it's going to be a sad day for car enthusiasts. Let's just put it that way. All right. That's it. That's my thought. Hey, look at this. Bitcoin just pumped up to 44.7 here. Let's see. Previous high from a day ago was about 45. We could break 45 and go beyond. That's pretty good. All right. Have I driven an EV? Yes. I own a Tesla Model S Plaid. Yes. And I owned a Model Y before. And before that, years ago, I had a Chevy Volt too. So I've driven plenty of EVs. In fact, I just got done driving a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon EV, 4xe. That's what they call it. It's not pure EV. It's a plug-in hybrid. But as for Wranglers themselves, I would say that's the best one that you could get. But pure EV cars, I don't know. I just don't like it. Well, you don't need performance mods, right? Like with Teslas, there's no performance mods. I mean, especially with what I have now, the Plaid. It's the world's fastest car, right? I could outperform. I could outrun a Bugatti Veyron with it. Okay, it's impressive. And when you floor it, so much blood flows into your head, it feels like your head's going to explode. It's not even a good feeling because it's so fast. However, driving around, it's just like, you don't feel anything. Again, you're like driving around a robot car. There's no emotion at all. Zero emotions. What happened to the Ecomi partnership? It ended, Vitalik. Simple as that. It ended. Hellcat Charger. I would love to test one. I haven't driven one yet. I haven't driven any Hellcats yet. A lot of SRTs, but not the Hellcats and not the Demon either. But I would like to test them soon. How do you feel about BNB with other L1s out there? I mean, BNB is really carried right now by Binance with their exchanges and burning and so forth, but their chain is getting updated. So their chain was kind of lacking, right? The Binance Smart Chain, but they're upgrading it so that it's going to be more decentralized and more standards. They're copying the ERC 1155 standards, so it's going to help them with tokenization and NFTs and so forth. So I think they're going to continue to be strong. Binance is just way too big, and they're not going to go anywhere. Remark, I think I looked at them before. I can't say much about them, so I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with them. Solar energy is the future. I hope so, but we just can't produce enough electricity from solar. Shorts are going got wrecked. I think part of the reason why we jumped up was because shorts got wrecked. Let's take a look here. Oh. Let's do 1 hour. Actually, not very much. So whatever happened right now, this huge pump actually wasn't due to liquidations, but if it continues, it definitely will. There will be a short squeeze. But right now, we just pumped up. Someone bought a lot of Bitcoin. That's what happened right here. I don't know who, but someone bought a good amount to make this jump like this. Need more efficient solar panels. So I saw this interview. Someone asked Elon about that. Like, what do you think? In 20, 50 years, can we make solar so efficient that we can power a Tesla or something else with it? And he said no. Elon seems to think that we have pretty much come to like the peak output for a solar panel. Like, we can make marginal improvements, but it won't be a drastic jump. So I don't know. What do you think about a Taycan S? It can have a fake growling sound. Can you do a review on it? I've been looking. I was wondering, if Taycans, if their range was better, I would actually consider looking at it and maybe buying one. I like their Taycan Cross Turismos, where it's more like an SUV vibe, but I have to test out the sound. But again, the problem is when you go away from Teslas, you have to deal with the stations. Like Audi and VW, they use, and Porsches, they use Electrify America because they built that. They were, remember the whole diesel scandal, so they actually had to pay for it. So they'll say they'll give you 3 years of free charging there, but I don't know how active they are in terms of growing out the stations. Tesla's always growing out more. They're adding more charging stations like every single day. So, when it comes to charging, all these other EV makers, they're not really concentrating on the stations. Like Ford, Ford wants to get to 2 million, 2 million EVs, right? And everyone else wants to get to 2 million EVs soon. But no one's talking about how there's going to be not enough stations to charge. Everyone's assuming that you just charge at home. So basically no one could take vacations in their car, right? So what's going to happen? Every car out there is EV and you have to wait like 5 hours to get a charge at a local station. It's going to be a disaster. No one's talking about it. The only company that's handling it is Tesla. That's the one big, in my opinion, the biggest advantage they have over everyone else. So, just throwing that out there. Do I own decentralized engine, Axie, or Sandbox? Yes, decentralized and Sandbox. And very little engine, none of Axie. Derek, appreciate it. Apple is stopping their car. They're not doing anything with the cars. They gave up on it. How's the Tesla sound system? Sound system is actually pretty good. At least inside of Plaid, the sound system, they upgraded. So it's actually pretty good. All right, guys. I'll let you guys go. Overall, Bitcoin is doing good. Crypto is doing good. Things are starting to come back up. There's still a lot of bargains, a lot of opportunities, right? Which is why I've been covering them more and more. Last night, even though I did the stream with the State of the Union address, but I did talk about 3 other L1s that are still undervalued. So if you haven't checked those out, do so. But right now, this morning, it does seem like the war is still ongoing. Still a lot of uncertainty. Oil is shooting up. That's the main thing that everyone's talking about today. How high will oil get? How high will gas get? Right? But in the meantime, markets are rallying. It's looking pretty good. So we'll see. I'll see you guys in 3 hours, 11:45 a.m. Central Standard Time, where I'll talk more about crypto and Bitcoin. All right? Take care, guys. Bye-bye.